This is, nobody can dispute this historically. We fought World War II. We did. Okay, MAGA, we fought World War II. We did. And Europe got devastated, and the United States didn't, except for like the people who were messed up from the trauma that war always brings, however just or unjust it may be. Now, after the war, there's a thing called the GI Bill. The GI Bill enabled the dirt poor, which were so many more Americans than we're willing to talk about pre-World War I, before our hyper-industrialization. I don't know how many, 500,000 men went to fight in World War II. I think I've got to check that. Eyes of innate and untapped genius flourished in the college environment. They became engineers, they became doctors, they became everything. They were brilliant people. They became the people that we're viciously cutting out of the government right now, the people we need. And what these men did after serving the country in the war is they had jobs in corporate America. So let me tell you about two cases I know very intimately here. One was my stepfather, who went to college on the GI Bill. He's a very, very intelligent man. He got a business degree. He's a terrible businessman. And think of a corporation as the military that's fighting a war for money. Not yours, not mine. Corporations fighting a war for holders. I want to connect the dots for some people who are clueless about what's happening to our government and why, and where it's going to head if you trust money people, people with dollar signs in their eyes. Here are some, let me connect a couple of dots backwards for people who may be younger than me, who may not have studied history. I lived this history, or at least I heard about it firsthand. I observed what happened. So here's the deal. The GI Bill leveled America in a good way. It leveled us up. It leveled us up. No student loans, none of this bullshit. You served in the Army in World War II. You went to college for free. This enabled the latent, untapped genius of America to blossom forth. And the government thought, hey, what a great thing this would be for our long-term prosperity and abundance in a three-dimensional sense, which Dwight Eisenhower, the president during that time, I believe, really believed in a fair America, not one run by oligarchs of the military-industrial complex, the pharmacological-industrial complex, the Elon Musk industrial complex, the deep fat pockets of the sinister and incontinent Donald Trump. Okay, you get where I'm coming from? So after World War II, this country shifted from an agrarian and artisanal economy to a corporate industrial economy. And you had a lot of men who are highly trained in collaborative and cooperative situations and highly conditioned to follow a very rigid chain of command. And that was good for a corporation. You know what? It was very, very bad for the men, for their families, for the wives were going absolutely fucking out of their minds, bonkers insane in the 1970s, because oligarchs had decided they knew how we were supposed to live and what we were supposed to aspire to behind the scenes, but they had not completely grasped how far they could push it, how hard they could squeeze people. Why do oligarchs do this? Why does Elon Musk want more money? He doesn't. He wants us in squalor because it's the only way he can feel like he's alive. So what happens, these men, like my stepfather and another man that was the father of a friend of mine. He was just a little bit older than my stepfather, and he was from Western Kentucky, from a coal family. They were poor as fucking dirt. This man went to college. He became a brilliant engineer. He was absolutely brilliant person, just such high level, and had some wisdom too. Well, he put the best years of his life into the name of the company doesn't matter. It's probably been swallowed so many times, but this was a huge corporation. And you get to the peak of your career, and they sound the gong for you. Exactly the same thing happened to my stepfather. And it was over a weird thing. Here's how arbitrary the corporate mind is. It's because it's a machine mind. One day my stepfather had stayed in at lunch to finish something. He worked in the shipping department of Dupont. The phone rang. There was a ship fire on a ship, obviously. Fire was on a ship that was loaded with Dupont chemicals. They had to have corporate permission to put the fire out. There was nobody else in the office, and my stepfather said, "Put it out." In doing so, he usurped the chain of command, and the following Monday, he found himself without a job. So he boots it on back to Kentucky and takes over the artisanal business that his mother started. And if he were like anything but the worst businessman in the entire universe, because he didn't care about business. You know what he loved? History. But this new capitalist, industrialist culture made it, it devalued these things, the life of the intellect. Now, along come the 70s, 60s, 70s, and people, this generation, they're not going, we don't want to fight. I'm a little younger than that, actually. I look 5,000 years old, but I was not old enough to be a hippie. I was old enough to feel totally torn in half between what people a little older than my contemporaries were doing that freaked their parents, that everybody my age, their parents were terrified that we were gonna wake up one day with hair down to our knees and wearing, women costume jewelry. What the betrayal, I don't think it really registered on them how they had been sold out by the system, by an economy based on a slave ship called the stock market. It's a blind Tasmanian devil. It'll mow through anything. We have to divest the principle of humanity from corporations. They are not people. They do not should never ever count as people. Their behavior is, if it's of a person, it's of the most psychopathic thing. So in conclusion, this breaking of the social contract did so much damage to that generation of people. We call them the greatest generation. They were so fucked up.